My name is Holly. I'm 36 years old. I work as a freelance illustrator. Because of that, I primarily work from home. However, my daily life is far from the relaxed, work while doing household chores image that most people might imagine of working from home. I often find myself sitting at my desk all day long, and before I know it, it's already evening. I have another important job. And that's doing household chores. I have a husband of the same age, Tom. Since Tom is a salesman, I usually take care of the house. We met at a friend's wedding. You have incredible talent, it must be nice to be able to work from home. Tom complimented me when we met. And so, we started dating and got married at the age of 29. However, after getting married, I realized something. Tom hardly does anything around the house. If work piles up and dinner gets delayed, I'd get scolded as if it's the end of the world. Hey, isn't dinner ready yet? You've been at home all day, haven't you? Sorry, but I had deadlines overlapping, and I couldn't even think about going shopping. You're at home and you can't even make one meal? Isn't that just inefficient? Tom started polishing his golf clubs for the next day's golf competition, looking exasperated. Tom is quite good at golf, boasting about his trophies and medals in a display case to friends who visit. But let's get back to the point. Tom only cares about himself and does nothing about the house. What do you think I married you for, if you're working from home? I was shocked by Tom's words. Thinking he had married me expecting not to do any household chores himself. Hey, that's way too harsh. It's like you think of me as a free maid. I was shocked by Tom's calculating thoughts. What's so harsh about it? It's only natural to think about the benefits of marriage. Tom said nonchalantly. Fine, I'm going to bed, I said, heading quickly to the bedroom. The next day, I had a rare outside meeting with a client. I'm home. Sorry, I'm late. When I got home, Tom was already there, playing with his phone in the living room. In front of him was rubbish of fast food. Wait, there's nothing for me? Huh? No, there isn't. I felt sad. I'm working too, supporting our finances, you know? I told you I'd be late today because of work, so I asked you to take care of dinner. Despite us both working, it's as if I'm the only one expected to do the household chores, which frustrates me. Stop nagging. It's normal for you to do it since you're working from home. Don't be so selfish. But I usually do it, right? I just asked because I was going to be late today. Realizing arguing further with Tom was futile, I thought. I just want to drop off my things and rest for a bit. When I went to my workroom, I noticed something odd. My work documents, which are absolutely necessary for my job, were gone. Hey! My work documents are missing. Yeah, I threw them out. Throw them out! Why would you do that? I needed more space for my golf trophies and clubs. It's fine, your job is just drawing, you can do it without those documents, right? Just drawing? Is that what you think of my job? I was at my limit of patience, but I took a breath and continued as if nothing happened. I figured getting mad here wouldn't help anything. At that moment, I wanted to keep our relationship on good terms. By the way, Tom's birthday is next week, isn't it? I'll make an effort to bake a cake, so make sure you come home early on the day. Huh? What's with that all of a sudden? Are you bipolar or something? That's creepy. Tom was suspicious of my sudden smile. I wanted to maintain a peaceful relationship between us. Please. Yeah. Tom answered, looking annoyed while fiddling with his smartphone, as I pressed the issue. But on the eve of his birthday, while we were eating dinner, Tom mentioned as if he just remembered. I'm going on an overnight business trip tomorrow, so don't worry about dinner for me. What? But we promised to eat the cake together on the day. Oh, did we? I don't remember. At that moment, my feelings for Tom crumbled with a crash. I feel stupid for trying so hard to make things work. Forget it. I already made the cake, I muttered, to which Tom responded. You made a homemade cake? Just throw it out. And clean up the house while I'm gone. Well then, I'll eat my portion of the cake and throw out the rest along with anything else deemed unnecessary. Is that okay with you? I asked Tom for confirmation. Stop nagging. I wouldn't eat your homemade cake whether it's there or not, just throw it away. All right. I'll make sure everything is thrown out cleanly. I agreed and headed to my room to continue my work. Make sure you do it right. Tom called out lazily to my back as I headed to the room. Turning around, I saw Tom engrossed in his smartphone game again. You can act all carefree now, but I'll make sure you regret this. I muttered just loudly enough for Tom to possibly hear, to which he asked in a bad mood, huh? Did you say something? He really has ears like a hawk. No, nothing. I walked out of the living room as if nothing had happened. The next morning, after Tom left for his business trip, I woke up leisurely. I had a lot of work due yesterday, so I managed to clear up a backlog of tasks. I slept in more than usual, so I feel quite refreshed. Going to the living room, I saw the remnants of Tom's breakfast, scattered bread and half-drunk coffee left as is. It seemed like a petty revenge for not preparing breakfast on the day he was leaving for his trip. I'll clean it up later. I gracefully made some coffee and ate a slice of the cake I had intended for Tom. It was a bit too sweet, so one slice was enough. All right, let's get started. Following Tom's orders, I began cleaning the house. First, I threw the remaining cake into the trash. I'm sorry for wasting food. I genuinely felt apologetic as I disposed of it. Then, recalling Tom's approval of my suggestion to throw away the cake along with anything else deemed unnecessary, I started removing all of Tom's golf-related items from the house. Heavy! What is this? We don't need so many of the same thing. Let's throw this out. Being clueless about golf, I carried out similar-looking golf clubs. This is unnecessary too. One trophy is enough, right? I carelessly packed trophies and medals neatly arranged in a glass case into a cardboard box. Tom polished these carefully, but they're just in the way. Let's throw these out too. I continued to pack anything I deemed unnecessary into boxes. Initially, I thought about actually throwing them away as had been done to me, but I didn't want to create a situation where I was at fault, so I had them moved to a rented storage unit beforehand. Who would have thought? 3 carloads. Seriously, he just hoards too much stuff. By the time I finished moving all the boxes, I was sweating all over. Being usually sedentary, my body was screaming from the unexpected exercise. Wow! It's so clean now. Looking around the tidy house, I muttered to myself. All right, everything unnecessary is gone. Now, off I go. After tidying up to my satisfaction, I packed my things and went back to my parents' house. 3 days later, Tom, presumably having returned from his business trip, called me in a panic after seeing the state of the house. Hey! Where are you right now? And what happened to my stuff? The house is almost empty. I instinctively pulled the phone away from my ear, fearing for my eardrums. Stop yelling. I'm at my parents' house. And your stuff? I threw it away. You threw them out? Are you kidding me? You know those were important to me, right? Of course, I know. But you gave your okay, didn't you? Okay for what? Tom seemed to have no recollection of his response. I mentioned that along with the cake, anything I deemed unnecessary could be thrown out. So, I did just that. Anyway, come back home first. We'll talk after that. I don't want to go back to that house. I'll send you a URL to my phone, let's meet there. While on the call, I sent Tom the location through our messaging app chat. Why would you choose such a place? Tom sounded confused. I had already made up my mind. Let's discuss the details there. See you. Hey! I hung up without waiting for Tom's response. The next day, I arrived at the meeting place early and waited for Tom while sitting on a chair. You threw away my important things. Tom burst through the door, fuming with anger. You're late. Oh, you look quite worn out just a few days apart. Tom's face had pimples, and his skin was rough. His shirt was wrinkled and lacked cleanliness. Probably, without me cooking, he resorted to fast foods. Tom, who hardly ever ironed, probably wore his laundry straight. Seeing Tom incapable of more than I thought, I sighed. Really, it's sad how little you can do. What did you say? Are you enjoying this situation? Tom shouted, feeling insulted. But when he was about to raise his voice again, he noticed the lawyer sitting next to me and quieted down immediately. Yes, the place I had chosen was a law firm, known for handling divorce cases. Stop holding a grudge because I cleaned up for you. Besides, you threw away my work tools without asking. Can you really talk? I said, sounding annoyed, and Tom's face turned red. What, you brought me here to sue me? I won't bother with such troublesome stuff. I only want one thing. After making sure Tom had taken a seat, I finally said what I had been wanting to. I want a divorce. Tom stiffened for a moment as if holding his breath, then retorted. Are you still upset about me throwing away your work documents? Or is it because I don't do anything around the house, as you've always complained? To think you're aware of what you've done. Surprising. I genuinely clapped, pretending to be impressed. Are you mocking me? No, I was honestly amazed, that's all. Surely, that's not the only reason you want a divorce. Those were reasons, but not the only ones. However, I chose to stay silent on that for now and continued. That's part of it. And here's the amount for the alimony. I slid the document prepared by the lawyer across the table to Tom. As he read through the paper, anger spread across his face, and he shouted. This is ridiculous. Even if we were to divorce, this reason and this amount are absurd. Tom's hands were trembling. I will never agree to this. And you can't just divorce me for the reasons you've mentioned. Tom looked at me as if pitying me. This man still doesn't realize what else he's done. Tom, unaware of the tight spot he's about to find himself in, continued to belittle me. Like I'd give up my free maid that easily. Divorce just because I didn't do enough around the house and you want alimony for that? Impossible. What a greedy woman. Unbeknownst to Tom, the lawyer sitting beside me was cringing. Tom thought he was the only one in the room with me. I couldn't help but laugh at Tom's obliviousness. What's so funny? Because you really think those are the only reasons for our divorce. As if I'd ask for this much alimony for just that. It was only after I said that panic finally showed on Tom's face. Maybe it's time to tell him. I spoke to Tom, whose blinking had increased significantly. You've been cheating, haven't you? What? Tom's voice cracked, and his eyes darted around. This is alimony. That's why the amount I presented to Tom was much higher than he expected. Where's the proof? Show me the proof. You're just obsessed with your delusions because you dislike me. Tom tried to deny it, blaming my supposed tendency to fantasize, which only irritated me further. If that's how it is, I'll show him the proof then. You've been having an affair with a colleague at work, haven't you? Her name is Lena, right? How did you? Tom's panic intensified at the mention of a specific name. She's 10 years younger than you, 26 years old. Must be fun, having an affair with someone so young. That alone isn't proof. Sure, I have a colleague named Lena, but she's just a colleague. That's not enough evidence. Here, look at this. I held up my smartphone to Tom and played a video. Tom peered into the phone to see. This? How do you have this? Does this look like mere colleagues to you? If it does, you must be blind. The video was taken in the underground parking lot of Tom's company. Tom was in the driver's seat, and a woman, presumed to be his subordinate Lena, was in the passenger seat. At first, they seemed to be just chatting, but gradually they became more intimate and started holding hands. Do bosses normally hold their colleagues' hands? I didn't think so. Want to see more evidence? No, that's enough. Tom's face was a mix of anger and embarrassment. How did you get this? Have you been following me? You could do that, being the free-spirited homeworker you are. Even in a clearly disadvantageous situation, Tom still managed to make such remarks. I was impressed, in a way, by his resilience. No, you've always assumed I have too much free time because I work from home, but I really don't have time for that. Then where did you get this? Did you hire a detective or something? Yes, that's right, I answered. But that was a lie. I hadn't used a detective. The evidence was actually given to me by a friend who was a colleague of Tom's and the bride at the wedding where Tom and I met. However, revealing the true source of the evidence could potentially harm my friend. So, I lied. Every time you went out in the company car, you did this in the parking lot, huh? And here you were, accusing me of not doing anything at home because I work from home. Meanwhile, you're boldly having an affair. Shut up! It wasn't my fault. What do you mean? I was taken aback by his sudden defense. To think you would say something like that now, you must be joking. I was actually being blackmailed. The moment our hands accidentally touched, she threatened to tell everyone at the company unless I tampered with her sales performance. That's too far-fetched. Tom's excuse felt like a poorly written novel. It's not a lie. I'm the victim here. Tom suddenly looked as pitiful as a tragic heroine. Which honestly made me feel a bit sick. If you insist, I have no choice. I would have considered lowering the alimony if you had just admitted it. At my words, Tom looked puzzled. You can come out now. Who are you talking to? Everyone's gaze turned towards the partition. Then, a young woman in her 20s appeared. Yes, it was Tom's affair partner, Lena. Seeing her suddenly appear, Tom stood up abruptly and pointed at her. When did you get here? I've been here since before you came in, manager. I've been waiting here. No way! Tom looked as if he had accepted his fate. Oh, Tom, you said she was blackmailing you, right? I specially invited her here so you could tell me directly. If it's true, I might reconsider the alimony. Tom's face was covered in sweat. Clearly panicking. I turned to Lena instead of the speechless Tom. Hey, did you really blackmail Tom? Lena shook her head vigorously. No, that's not true. In fact, it was the other way around. I was the one being blacked by the manager. Shut up. Don't say unnecessary things. Hey, that's no way to speak to someone 10 years your junior. Be quiet. I gently asked Lena, like speaking to a child. Hey, can you explain what you meant by being threatened? Yes. One day, as usual, I got into the company car with Tom to go on sales visits. Suddenly, he grabbed my hand. I was shocked and asked him to stop immediately. Don't say any more. You just listen. And then? Then, Tom told me he could easily manipulate my sales performance. He said he could make me the lowest performer if he wanted to. That's awful. Using your position as a boss to threaten? Yes. Our company is strict about sales performance, and being the lowest means getting reprimanded. It affects our salary, so I was really scared. Such a despicable story. I'm even more disappointed in you. Ugh. Tom could only mutter in response, seemingly at his limit. So, you had no choice but to comply with his demands? Yes, that's right. I'm very sorry for the disrespect towards you, Holly, Lena said to me. So, your story was false, and instead, she was the one being threatened. Do you have any counter-arguments to this situation? Tom clenched his jaw, unable to speak. You're probably wondering how I knew about this. In fact, after hearing from a friend that Tom was having an affair with a colleague, I went to Tom's company myself and approached Lena as she was leaving work. Is this you in this video? Can you explain what this is about? Initially, I confronted her angrily, but Lena started crying and shared the same story she had just told. So, what? That's a lie. You have no proof I threatened her. Still going to say that when you're cornered? You did the worst thing to a younger girl. Shut up, just show me the proof. Then I'll admit it. Really? You're saying if I show you the proof right now, you'll admit it? Yes. If you can, that is. Tom was smug, confident he had left no evidence. He taunted me. sure of his cleverness in not leaving any trace in messages or contacts with Lena. To ensure there were no recordings, whenever Tom was alone with Lena, he made sure to have her turn off her cell phone, showing his thorough preparedness. I was worried at first because no evidence was coming up. But Tom had overlooked a crucial detail. Realizing this, I immediately went to retrieve that evidence. The dash cam. Huh? The car's dash cam. Everything's clearly recorded there, including voices. Oh! Tom's mouth hung open, letting out a sigh. Yes, the company car's dashcam had recorded the actual moment Tom threatened Lena. Only realizing now? And you're a top salesperson and manager? Pathetic. Caught by surprise, Tom's face turned pale. Now we know she was being threatened. I was planning to sue you and get alimony, but since she's also a victim and was honest and cooperative, I promised to let this go. You'll regret this. I'll make sure you're fired and can't stay at the company. Tom, unbelievably, directed his anger at Lena. Appalling. The one who won't be able to stay at the company is you. She's already reported this to the company. Huh? I let out a defeated sigh from Tom. She might get transferred, but she's a victim, so it won't be too bad. The problem is with you. Hope you don't get fired. Crossing my arms, I said this, and Tom glared at me. Don't be so smug. If I get fired, you'll suffer without my earnings. Think you can live on just your drawing money? How little Tom must think of me. That comment made it all clear. That's why we're getting divorced. It won't matter to me if you get fired. I'll make sure to get the alimony from your savings. And I stepped closer to Tom and leaned in. The job you've always belittled? I earn about the same as your monthly salary. Just a bit less, but I'm almost there. Lies! Your job's just drawing. There are many people willing to pay for just drawing. Unfortunately for you, whatever happens to you from now on is none of my concern, as long as I get my alimony. So that. Overwhelmed by the reality that he wasn't superior in the one aspect he thought he was, Tom's knees gave out, and he fell to the floor, hands touching the ground. So, here you go. Divorce papers. I placed 2 documents on the floor and handed Tom a pen. Still shaking, Tom forgot to stand up and signed the documents right there on the floor. Oh, by the way. I suddenly remembered something and mentioned it to Tom. Your golf gear, I actually didn't throw it away. Huh? Tom, still on the floor, only lifted his face, which was smeared with tears. Well, I thought it'd be too cruel, and more than anything, I didn't want to hear you complaining. So, where did you put my stuff? I stored everything in a rental warehouse. It was quite a hassle moving all that stuff. Oh, and of course, I won't be helping you get it back. It was a lot. Always doing unnecessary things. You're troublesome to the end. Are you aware of your situation right now? Damn it! It seemed Tom finally realized his position wasn't going to improve. In the very end, glaring at me with all his might, he said, "You'll regret this. Even if I get fired, I'll be successful somewhere else." And with that, he violently opened the door and left, as if running away. That was the last time I saw Tom. Since that day, I've moved out of my parents' house and started living alone. Without Tom's chores, I had more time and ease in my life. My work improved more than ever before. Consequently, the number of requests increased, and my monthly income had long surpassed what Tom, the salesman, used to earn. After our formal divorce, Tom, now without a free housekeeper, lived in a mess according to a colleague of a friend who visited his house. Laundry piled up, dishes stacked in the sink, trash overflowed, and flies buzzed around. Tom didn't even know about the garbage collection days. I thought he could at least wash the dishes, but it seemed he couldn't manage even that. His house became a mess, his life became harder, and his sales performance rapidly declined, dropping him to the lowest rank. After the company found out about Tom threatening a direct subordinate into an affair, he was not fired but was transferred to a regional subsidiary. Rumors of his affair had spread there too, making his new workplace quite uncomfortable. He was so sure he'd succeed elsewhere. I muttered to myself while finishing up a project. But I probably won't run into him anymore. Getting rid of unnecessary things has been refreshing. I should have cleaned up sooner. I felt a refreshing sense of relief as I focused on my work.